Okay, welcome everybody to an exciting episode of Under the Dome. We are now in the official vacation period of the off season. Uh, Last week they wrapped up the last mini camp, so the players are off, and I think they released the dates today. July July 18th is when they're going to expect the rookies to report. Then I believe it's July 25th the veterans report. So training camp less than a month away. I can't believe it. Anyway, welcome tonight. I want to first welcome my co-host, Mr. Sean Williams tonight. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. And we also have a special guest with us tonight, former Saints wide receiver, Mr. Quinn Early. How you doing tonight, Quinn?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Right. Sean, you want to pay the bills first before we get started?
Yeah, we probably need to. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, as always, and thank Fan First Productions for being our sponsor. Invite you guys to subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. And I want to say a very special thanks to our guest tonight. I think that I'm kind of blessed to have known this guy, and I consider him to be a friend.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
How's life treating you?
Good. I can't complain. I'm out here in San Diego. The weather's great, and just doing what I do, just plugging along. Everything's fantastic.
Are you still doing the stuntman thing?
I am. So we just wrapped up in April. You know, I double Shamar Moore on the TV show SWAT, and they wrapped up in April, but they're getting ready to start back here in July. And then I just do some day playing, do some other stuff, and then just on the other side of it, I've just been doing some writing, and I've got some screenplays going on, and so I'm pretty busy. It's great.
I know that you're probably just so missing getting to get out in that South Louisiana heat for training camp.
Yeah, I have to say I don't miss that too much. I miss playing sometimes, but yeah, the heat I don't miss.
Well, if you could introduce my wife or my daughter to Shamar Moore, I think I can arrange something with the Saints for you. You can just get one last, because I know you got one catch left in you.
Oh, geez.
So you want to get that one last catch with from Breeze. Just that one last score.
Maybe like on a 3rd and 3, they're playing a soft defense, and I run like a 5-yard out, catch it, step out of bounds. I'd be good.
That's it. There you go. That's all you need. That's all you need. One day, I for fun, my son was little. We let us come into the Saints training camp. We're throwing the ball around. So I'm about at the 15 or 20-yard line, and I'm trying to throw the ball to the corner of the end zone, hit that back pylon. I'm trying to throw that pass. You don't realize how far that is when you're standing out there trying to throw that pass, and that was like 10 years ago. So
yeah.
That's
why the quarterbacks get the big bucks.
That's exactly it. That's a tough throw to make.
Yeah, it is.
I thought about running a fly pattern the other day and hyperventilated.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah, man, my heart hurt. There would be pieces to me breaking with every step.
That's good.
Well, we asked Quinn to be on here tonight because, the last time he was here, he had a project going on, Bryant Acres, which I have to say was an awesome book. I loved it. And now he has another project in the works. Quinn, why don't you tell us about this new project that you have going on?
Absolutely. So as you all know, I do a lot of charity work and raise money for Alzheimer's. And that's what, with the proceeds that I make from the book, Bryant Acres, that money goes to Alzheimer's research. So in the last couple of years, I've been working on writing screenplays and things like that. And I actually have a project that I'm talking to some movie houses about, which I'm very excited about. But I wrote a short film, and it's called Just Bake Cookies. And I'm producing this short film, and basically it'll be used as a vehicle to raise money for Alzheimer's. And then we're going to also use it as a festival piece in 2020. We'll do a bunch of national and hopefully international film festivals. Now, what the story is about, it's about a young man named Quentin who is being raised by his grandfather, Pops. Quentin is having a hard time navigating through teenagehood into manhood. He gets into fights, he makes some bad decisions. So he's in his room, and his mother passed away when he was younger, so he's got kind of an anger problem, and Pops is doing the best he can. So when he gets in trouble, he's in his room, he's missing his mom, he's crying. Pops comes in, he hears him crying, he bakes him cookies. He gives him cookies, and Quentin says, Pops, how come every time I get in trouble, you bake cookies? Because cookies make you realize that no matter how bad things are, they'll always get better in time, but mostly they make you realize that you're loved. So you fast forward through the story, and he becomes a martial arts champion. He learns lessons of life, things like that. He becomes a martial arts champion. At the end of the story, his Pops has come down with Alzheimer's. So he pays homage to his Pops. He's just won the world championship. He's being interviewed. I couldn't have done it without my Pops. He goes to visit Pops in the Alzheimer's care facility, and they sit down, and they're having a discussion, and Quentin reaches into a bag, and he pulls out cookies, and he and Pops eat cookies together. So that's the film, and it hits close to home for me because of the Alzheimer's component, obviously, but then also because my oldest son, Cameron, when he was growing up, he had a lot of these struggles. And I used to bake, when he would get in trouble or he was having a hard time, I would bake him cookies. So he's actually directing this film. Wow. So it's amazing for us to be able to work together. I'm going to be raising money for charity, and I'd like to invite everyone to go to my Kickstarter. You go to Kickstarter.com and you put in Just Bake Cookies, and you can see some of the, the menu of prizes, things like that you'll get for donating. And you don't have to donate a lot of money, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can to help us get this film made. And you'll get a special thank you on the credits of the film and things like that. And basically just trying to get community involved in my fundraising efforts.
That sounds fantastic. And I was getting ready to say, as I'm listening to you describe the plot of the story, I said it does sound semi-biographical. And of course, that's the best kind of stories, where you take elements of your own life and incorporate them in the story. So,
absolutely.
So would you say, aside from the Alzheimer's component, maybe the relationship with your son growing up helped kind of fuel this project?
Absolutely. Actually, a buddy of mine who's helping me produce the film, he noticed my son Cameron. He's also a stuntman in Hollywood, but he's really talented behind the camera. He's got great vision. He knows how to, shoot the story. He knows how to choreograph. He can do all of these things. He used to make movies with his friend when they were little, and we'd have premiere night and, pop popcorn, and we'd watch their movies. So he's kind of like a duck in water when it comes to filmmaking. And
absolutely.
My buddy, who's been in the industry for more than 30 years, he saw something special in Cameron and said, listen, we need to get him into directing and in that arena. So I came up with this story. Cameron's extremely passionate about it. He loves the story, because it hits home for him as well, because he lived it. And it's just a really great project. And we're going to start filming probably the end of July, beginning of August. We're just ironing some things out, but we're really excited about it. And we'd love to have, some of the Saints fans involved, and just it's just going to be a good time. It's going to be a really good project.
Well, I've got to ask, casting for this. Are you going to be in this film? Are you going to play any role in this film?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If somebody has the flu that day and I have to jump in, I will. But I'm more of I'm the writer of the story, and I'm more of a producer. And I'll help out more behind the scenes. This is my son's project, and so far we've got a pretty good cast going on, and I think it's going to be.
Oh, there goes this picture. There you go. We're back.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great project.
Well, this sounds really interesting. I have contributed to documentaries like this in the past, and people who may think that, that the money it doesn't matter. So, if I give them a couple of dollars, it's not going to matter. It does matter.
It does.
It really does. Michelle Kath, Terry Kath's daughter, Terry Kathman, the guitarist of Chicago,
Mhm.
did a biography much like what you're describing.
Mhm.
She did a biography about interviewing people involved, knowing her father through music, and unfortunately, her father accidentally passed away in 1978, self-inflicted gunshot wound,
Oh man.
and she was only 2 years old. She
Yeah.
didn't know him, and she's only learned about him through the stories that his friends have told and through his music with the band Chicago.
Right.
So, it becomes a really touching story because you see not only she physically looks like her dad, but you see, I guess the closest explanation I can ever come up with this is in the line in the movie "It's a Wonderful Life."
Yeah.
Clarence tells George when he's in that alternate reality that where he doesn't exist, and he's discovering that his brother died. He drowned when he was 7 years old. You know, um, his mother doesn't know him. His wife becomes an old maid. The pharmacist, and I know most people know the story. The pharmacist accidentally poisons a child, and all those things. He says, you don't realize how many lives you touch in little ways,
Mhm.
and how much that ripple effect changes things. And
Right.
I can, I'm seeing a little bit of that just listening you describe this story. I can see a little bit of that in this story because the cookies, of course, being the symbolism, but you can
Yes.
see how it touches different lives and then branches outward because I'm sure other people can see elements of themselves in this
Absolutely.
uh, same kind of dynamic. So I'm really
Absolutely.
interested in this.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
And
And that's really the point I was trying to bring home is that no matter what you're doing in life, no matter the stresses, the problems that you have, it's all about family. And the cookies are just, like you said, are a symbol of it's going to be okay. And you're
mhm.
loved and just keep moving forward. So I used to bake Cameron cookies and then I would always tell him that, you know, I used to tell him how much I believed in him and he can be great. I used to just say to him, you can be great. You're going to be great. And
Absolutely.
he's a good man. He's a good man, and he works hard, and he's super talented, and he's going to go far, I think, in this business. So this is just an opportunity for him to really spread his wings and throw his hat in the directing ring and see what he can do.
Well, I can definitely tell you're proud of him.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
now, Quinn, how many children do you have?
I have I have two sons.
Okay.
My youngest son, Chance, uh, is 26. Cameron's 29. Chance is 26.
Mhm.
And Chance actually was a really good football player now. He went to Reno. Didn't the Saints sign Rashard Matthews? Did they
Yes, I
sign
did.
him?
Yes,
So
I did.
Chance and him were teammates at Reno, Nevada.
Really,
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and he didn't end up finishing there. He tore the labrum in his shoulder, and then
Mm.
I got to tell you, man, it's one thing when me as a player, I'd get injured. I'm like, it's part of the deal. But when you watch your children get injured, I didn't like that at all. And
I
he
never did. That
yeah, it
drove
was
me insane. And my son played center.
yeah, it's brutal. So he came to me and he said, "Dad, I don't think I want to do it." And I just told him, I said, "Listen, don't do it because I did it. You know,
Mhm.
um, he has to find his own path, and so I was totally good with that. But I will tell you, man, I was a fan of his. But he was a good player. I think he was good enough to probably play on Sundays if he would have went that route. But they're both great, good men, and I'm extremely proud of the men that they are. So it's pretty awesome.
It it's very hard not to be the mama bear, even though you're a man. A mama bear when you're watching your child play in the stands, and someone takes a cheap shot, or your child gets hurt,
Yeah,
and you saw it happen. You want to jump out of the stands and exact vengeance sometimes because you're
yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
it's you have to repress that feeling. Because I've seen it. My daughter played basketball, and I saw her. She was short, but she was tough. She didn't care, and I've seen her get hurt out there, and it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard to watch. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
but
I watched my son play against against a very large school over here in Monroe. And during the game, he was on the kick return, and this team was just absolutely throttling them. So he got to play a lot that game because they were kicking off a lot. And this huge guy cheap shotted him, hit him in the back as he was running down to block for his teammate.
Did you go flying onto the field?
No, his mom wanted to, but I said, just wait. I want to see how he handles it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the next time they kicked to him, I saw him. I was watching him. He lined up and he got down, and he had one of his teammates was this really big guy, and when that ball was kicked, he kind of dropped back, but he never took his eyes off of that guy that hit him, and he got behind Big John, and this guy was running straight at Big John, and at the last second, he stuck his hand out and grabbed him by his face mask as he was running by. He liked to give that dude whiplash. And they, of course, it was right in front of the referee, and
of course, they always see that.
And I gave my son a standing ovation for his first personal foul, and I was
absolutely. It was worth it, I'm sure.
Well, you have to realize too that you're watching your child the whole time. The official's watching the game. You're watching your child, so of course you see everything, and the official stinks, and you're letting them know it, and everything else, and it's all part and parcel of being a parent. My wife always made jokes about, let's see how fast you can get thrown out of this game tonight, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
I tried not to abuse the officials too much because, I mean, that was one aspect of me being a player for all those years. That's one thing that I was well in tune with, that, they're not going to get it right all the time. And you as a parent sit up there and just really destroy these referees. That's not going to help anything either.
Right.
And your child sees you doing this while they're out there, then they think that it's okay to do. I tried to not go that route, but it was never easy to do that.
It's hard. It really is.
Yeah, it's incredible how, I coached at one of the local high schools here in San Diego for about 10 years. And some of the parents, man, it's like they're just, it's insane, how they act sometimes,
And baseball is worse.
Yeah. And, 95% of them are good, but there's always those couple, man, that they're getting into it,
Yeah, I knew my child wasn't going to play in the WNBA. I know my child wasn't, even though really going to play in college because, it is what it is. It's not that she wasn't a hard worker. She just doesn't have the raw talent.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
But some of these parents believe that their child is, the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron James, the next Mike Trout, you name the sport, the next Drew Brees. And it's just, I know from playing, you all know you made it, but the rest of us all know that, it's a numbers game. Yeah. And as you go up, the talent gets better and better and better. And the odds are, just because you dominated the playground doesn't mean you're going to dominate on Sundays.
Well, yeah. And I think sometimes these parents, some of the parents think that, like you said, their kid is the next, LeBron James or whatever. And I can't tell you, how many times, I was coaching wide receivers and the parents would, they're talking about their kid going to USC and UCLA. And I'm like, he's just a kid, let him have fun doing it, learn some great lessons, hang with his buddies. And if it's meant to be, it's going to be. And even if he is undersized, maybe he's not as fast, things like that. If they've got the passion for it, they're going to find a way to do it.
Absolutely.
We always talk about, Sam Mills. How many Sam Mills was told no his whole life?
Right.
Sam
exactly.
Mills was a little guy, right? And he had that fire and that passion. He was going to make it happen no matter what, and he did. So if the kids really, that's what I always tell parents. If they want to do it, they'll find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a kid that I coached, and he was really undersized, kind of slow. God, if we put him in that football field, he's going to get hurt. And he Never really got on the field in high school. He graduated. He went to TCU. He had a growth spurt. 3 years later, I'm watching TV. He's running down on kickoff. He's in the game playing at receiver. He walked on and he worked hard and he earned his spot. And now he's part of the team. I couldn't have been more proud of him because he found a way to get it done. So it's all about what the kids want to do. And I think the parents just have to let them be kids and support them, but don't push them. Because, they still got, after they're done playing sports, you still got another 50 years to have a relationship with your children,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's really what I was going for with all my kids. It wasn't so much, I don't want you, I'm not putting the pressure on you to get to the next level. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to have fun. I want you to learn. Enjoy. You have to develop a passion for the work.
Right.
And my middle one, that's the one who did develop the passion for the work. And that's why she went on to play in high school and she ended up winning a state championship because she loved practice. She loved the locker room. She loved just being with those players and doing the best she could because she enjoyed contributing to a team goal. And I think that's going to help her through life more so than playing, as a WNBA player or just keep going on forward. I think she learned the important lessons that sports does teach you, and that's all that mattered to me. Absolutely. That she enjoyed it, and she has a ton of great memories because of it.
Absolutely.
I never pushed my son to play. He always, and he would, he's 21 now. As he got older, he told me finally that he said, I always felt like you expected me to play. And I said, I never asked you to. You said you wanted to, so I supported you in that, but I never tried to encourage him to. The only thing that I ever told him as far as that goes was, if you make up your mind that you're going to do this, you're going to do it 110% or you're not going to do it. There's not going to be it getting tough and you deciding you're going to quit and changing your mind and going back. We're not going to do that. If you're going to do it, you're going to dedicate yourself to it. And I was absolutely blown away at the way that he did.
Yeah.
That's great.
All lessons, all good lessons.
Well, Quinn, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today, we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about current Saints players. Mm-hmm. I know you're kind of aware, at least what they talked about on ESPN. Michael Thomas is the next player that the Saints are talking about extending. His contract expires at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. He is probably, well, not even probably, he has been the most productive wide receiver in Saints history his first 3 years in the league.
Right.
So what he's looking for now, and this was, I know when you played, y'all would dream of getting paid just $1 million a year. He's looking for roughly $22 million a year. Mm-hmm. How would you, as a former player, look at that?
Well, it's all about what the market bears. It's a different time than when I played. Mm-hmm. And these are numbers that current players are getting. So if that's what the market bears, then that's what he deserves to get. If he's not the best receiver in that league, he's one of the top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
So he needs to be compensated as such. And anybody who doesn't think so or wants to debate that and he leaves, those same people that are saying that are going to be mad that he's gone. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that he deserves that money. And I think that the way he performs and the way he plays, he's only going to do good things for this organization. Everybody wants to go to the Super Bowl.
Right. And one of the things that
you guys
I saw,
sorry about that.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. One of the things that I know at the end of your tenure with the Saints, I believe they let you go partially because of pay. They thought you're easily replaceable. It wasn't because of pay.
Yeah, well, what happened was, so Michael Haynes, who they brought in from Atlanta, he signed a good deal, and then my last year, I think I had 82 catches, and I think the other 4 receivers on the team had 90 catches combined, something like that. It was like, and I wasn't asking to break the bank. I just said, I want what the other starting wide receiver is getting. And they didn't want to give me that. They wanted to give me what the third wide receiver was getting. And at that point, I was 30, so I was on the downslope of my career.
Mhm.
And I just felt like, I wanted to stay, but, Buffalo came in and they offered me that money. So it was just at that point, it was a business decision because, when I think about it, I only really played 3 or 4 years more after that. So it was an
Mhm.
opportunity for me to, set myself up for post career and things like that. So that's the business end of it, which I hate, but that's what happens sometimes. It's just business.
Yeah. Well, I know Jim Everett was mad that you were gone
Mhm.
because both you and Wesley Walls, I believe, left that same season. Y'all left
Yeah.
after the '95 season, and he had said in the media, you're taking away all my guys, you're taking away all my best weapons, and you
Right.
expect me to go out there and win
Right.
because, and this isn't a knock on Torrance or Michael or any of the other players that were there, or Irv,
Yeah.
or it's just I've always had the attitude of, if you want to win, get as many offensive weapons as possible. So
Right.
it's that much harder for them to tee off on one guy.
Right.
So,
And then I think what happens sometimes too is then people say, well, those players, they should have loved their team and they should have taken less money and, they're mad at the players, but it's really, a lot of times it's the management who's trying to undercut and get the best deal for them. And again, it's business. I get it, but
right.
they're trying to get the best deal. And especially when, as that player, that you're better than the 10 guys in front of you that are making way more than you. It's like, so it's what the market bears. So for Mike, again, I think he's, one of the top 5 players in that league, if not
Mhm.
the top 1 or 2. He definitely deserves to get that money because it's what the market bears right now.
And the last thing, and this has always bothered me, and I'm sure it would bother you as a former player. They're all about, oh, well, we're not going to pay you that much money. But if there's a player who's coming out that they covet, they have no problem opening a checkbook to pay
Right.
him. So it's almost like, what are you telling me? That I have to leave and then come back for you to pay me? Is that how this is going to work?
It's amazing how that happens, and it doesn't happen just in football. Think about in these,
Oh,
these companies. It's
yeah.
like, you have somebody who's worked there for 10 years and it has great numbers and has killed themselves for the company. It's all about the company. And then they go out and they hire some hotshot to come in and then they give them 3 times as much money. So it's
Hmm.
economics, it's business, so it is unbelievable though how it works that way. I agree.
I worked at one place. I used to call it the Star Trek Mirror Universe. Someone had to die for us all to get raises and promotions because they just weren't going to pay anybody.
Right.
Um, and like you said, some hotshot off the street that they think they can get all kind of business out of. Oh, they have no problem paying him.
Right.
And you're like, what? What is it? What do you want out of us?
Right.
So yeah, it's very unfair, and that's the other reason why I agree with you. I think they need to pay Michael because I think not only that's what the market bears, but also it sends a good message to the locker room that, hey, the guys who put in the work, the guys who take the leadership roles, and the guys who do all the things that we ask you to do, we will pay you.
Right. We're
You
going to
know,
take care of you and we're not going to screw you. Yeah.
yes, because you have such a short lifespan. You mentioned when you were 30, so I'm sure in the back of management's mind, like, well, this guy's hitting 30. Do we really want to commit a lot of money to him? He could fall off the cliff next season, and we're
Right.
stuck with this money. So that is going in the back of their mind, but that's not the case with Michael Thomas. Michael
No.
Thomas is hitting his prime right
Right.
now,
Right.
and in your case, like you said, you're looking towards the future, post football life. I need to set myself up because this may be the last big paycheck I get.
Right.
So I
Absolutely.
totally get that. I
Yep.
totally get that. And that's all things that people don't think about, I guess, when
Right.
they make all these pronouncements, especially, oh, these athletes, yeah, they got paid all this money. They don't never need to work again. Well, Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you
Because
do. And also too, I think people, don't take into consideration the fact that, as a professional athlete, your career spans 10 years if you're lucky.
mhm,
Whereas, the average citizen, their career spans 30, 40 years over a lifetime. So
right.
as an athlete, and you're subjecting yourself to who knows what post career, what
Mhm.
kind of illnesses, ailments, bad backs, knees, hip replacements, things like that. So, um, these guys have to set themselves up for when they're done playing football and what's the next chapter of their lives. So,
Do you have any physical ailments that you care to share with us? That
knock on wood, I've been pretty good. I came through pretty good. I've had a few concussions when I played. Um, so that remains to be seen.
mhm.
I've got little aches and pains. I had actually had 3 herniated discs in my back about 3 years ago.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was pretty much bedridden for about 10 months. And I came back from that pretty good. I train super hard and I eat really well and I stretch and I do all the things that I need to do to keep myself upright. But for the most part, I'm doing pretty good.
Well, I like watching Brian Baldinger when he was on NFL Network, and now he's on social media breaking down film. But if you ever watch his hands, he's got arthritic looking knuckles, and then I think it's his pinky. This finger here is pointed that way.
Yeah.
From all the years him playing offensive line.
Yep.
So that's just a little thing, but when he talks to you and puts his hands out, you can't help but notice, those
Yeah.
aren't normal hands anymore. That's
Yeah.
just the smallest thing about what he may be going through post
Yeah.
football life.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Baldy was a defensive end, wasn't he?
Uh, yes, he was. He was. It was some. Yeah, he played with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Um, yes, he had. There's another one who's just like Baldinger, who sounds just like him. He was an offensive lineman, and I can't think of what his name is right now. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I get the two of them confused sometimes. But yeah, he was a defensive tackle.
Quinn, who is now I'm asking for your opinion.
Okay.
Who is the best player that you ever played with?
Oh, I would have to say Sam Mills. I've said that before on articles and things like that. But yeah, I think he was pretty phenomenal. He was a phenomenal player and an even better man.
I have a lot of respect for Sam Mills because, and not a lot of people know this, but the same type cancer that I had was what killed him.
Right.
I watched the Football Life with Sam Mills and just his story, which I knew most of it. I lost some of it when he went to Carolina, but I knew most of it. Just him coaching while going through radiation treatment, and just to be able to do what he did, knowing he was in as much pain as he was in, it's just phenomenal.
I can
Um,
tell you from experience that takes a hell of a man.
it does. It does.
I had to go through radiation treatments for every day for 6 weeks.
Yeah. And he would come right to work right after that, which is just phenomenal. But he was driven, and that's what made him a great football player. It's what made him a great teammate. That's what made him a great person. So, and it just, I really would like for the Saints to recognize Sam much the way Carolina has, because he deserves that. I do want a statue of all four linebackers in front of the dome, the whole dome patrol. But Sam Mills especially needs to be recognized for who and what he was, both to this organization and just to the New Orleans area in general. I mean, he was just an unbelievable story. Um, Quinn, what was the best cornerback you ever had to face?
I would say Eric Allen.
Really?
Yeah, he was pretty awesome.
How would you try and beat Eric Allen in coverage?
Well, he was really a big tendency guy. I mean, he would study, and I knew that about him. So I would always try to change it up and run my routes against the tendencies that he, you know what I mean? So it's like a chess game. So in
Right.
other words, you know, he knew uh, hold on a second. Anyway, sorry. So if I had a quick slant, you know, usually you would line up wide and run your quick slant. I would line up tight and then push out and then run my quick slant. And that used to like mess him up. You know, he would even tell you that. And so I used to do things like that. And he was just really good with his hands. He was good against press and all that stuff. So, yeah.
How much, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, how much hand-to-hand combat skills did you need to have to really play wide receiver in the NFL to get them to get their hands off of you?
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and I really worked hard on that. And I'll tell you, my martial arts training really helped that.
I bet it did
too. So that really helped, and I really had pride in my being able to get off that press and beating a press and getting downfield and stuff like that. And I worked really hard on it.
Did they? I know everybody respects everybody in the league, because if you're out on the field, you earned at least some respect because you're good enough to be out on the field. But did you ever go up against somebody who was like, this guy ain't that good. I don't really have to I can sit on some routes. He's going to give me some tells, and I can jump in. You ever got, I guess, that kind of cocky cornerback who thought he could do that to you?
That was the worst thing that a cornerback could have done to me, was talk.
Okay.
Talk nonsense. You know what I mean? Because all that did was make me play harder. And when somebody would do that, I would always have like my best game.
Well, that's great.
You want to give an example?
No. I don't have anybody coming after me. But
no, there you go.
No, but yeah, no. There were certain guys who they prided themselves on, talking, and I would just do my thing, and then after the game they'd be like, "Good job," we'd hug or whatever. But there are guys who they might have thought that, but
sure.
And there were games when somebody got the best of me for sure, but that's what that league is all about, right? Everybody's really good and everybody's the best at what they do. So I think most of the guys know that they don't want to give the guy on the other side of the ball any extra incentive, but some guys pride themselves on that. And, I used to pride myself on making the guys who talked pay, so.
Well, we were talking about Michael Thomas, so I was thinking about him with Marcus Peters, because Marcus Peters is one of those guys who seems to like to talk and say some things on the field. And Michael Thomas definitely got the better of him that game, that first game in the Dome. And I think for a lot of them, it is one of those things where, okay, this isn't a speed guy. He kind of tricks you with route running, but I can kind of get him kind of thing and get in his head a little bit. And I was thinking there are certain cornerbacks I'm thinking of in your era who may have been teammates of Eric Allen. I'm not going to name names, but may have been teammates of Eric Allen. May have played safety for the Eagles, who like to run their mouths.
Muddy Waters.
Yes. Yeah. There we go.
Dirty Waters. Yeah.
Yes, Andre Waters was a great example. He and Eric Martin had a good feud going for a while.
Oh, they did. So I have a story. I hope Eric doesn't get mad at me about this. So we played the Eagles up there, and he told Eric, he goes, you got me. I guess Eric had a good block on him a couple of years before in a game, and he told Eric, he goes, I'm getting you. He goes, I'm going to get you this game. And Eric was like, whatever, dude, whatever, And then so game went on, nothing happened. Game's over. We're walking with our helmets in our hands into the tunnel.
I know this game.
Eric gets blown up in the back, and it was Andre Waters. And I was like, and now Eric is chasing him, a fist fight ensued. Everybody broke it up. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
I remember this game. I remember that game because I know exactly what you're talking about. Because and that's why I was thinking about him. Because I think Eric had gotten him in the '89 game in the Dome, and the next time they played was in '91 in Philadelphia. I think that was the year it
That was the
happened.
game. Yep, that was the game.
Yeah. Because that was in fact, Chris Berman talked about that much later because in one play, I think it was in Tampa Bay a couple of weeks later, Eric Martin was wide open, and Chris Berman says Andre Waters was closer, that kind of thing. So it was a nice, funny joke about that situation. I do remember that game. I remember seeing that play happen. So absolutely. No, Eric will be mad at you for that. That's a well-known story. That's a well-known story. What we've asked this before, but we always get new viewers, so I'm going to ask you this again. What is it about the NFL that you probably miss the most? That nothing in your life, I shouldn't say nothing, but your regular day-to-day life you live now as a player, post-career, that you miss the most? What do you miss the most?
Camaraderie with the fellas, being in the locker room, the jokes, the laughing, the closeness of a team, being part of a family, and that's something that I definitely miss. And doing stunts is kind of close. It's a super blue collar industry. We don't get all the glory, but the guys are close. We go to dinner together, we drink together, we laugh, the jokes, and then when it's time to perform, when they yell action, you got to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go right back to the jokes. So I would say stunts is the closest thing to that. But if I had to say one thing, it would definitely be the camaraderie.
And it's shocking almost how fast that career goes by. I think you were in the league for 10 years. And 12 years. Okay. So 12 years you're in the league. And I bet that was the fastest 12 years of your life.
Absolutely. It came and went like that. But, man, what a ride. And I had an absolute blast doing it.
Well, I told you this last time you were on. I have a friend who's also a stunt man who does a lot of shows and he works a lot with NCIS New Orleans. He's done a ton of movies, especially when they do filming down here in South Louisiana. And he says it's the same way. It's all fun and games. You do the stunt, the gig, you do whatever it is they ask you to do. Everyone be careful. We take care of ourselves. We get it done. But then after it's over with, it's time to cut up again.
Absolutely. That's absolutely how it is.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping everybody safe because, it's a dangerous industry. So it's all about keeping everyone safe, doing the stunt, making it look really good, and everybody's okay. And then, the shenanigans ensue after that. So,
Well, he gets stuck a lot of times flipping cars and flipping boats and things like that. So
right.
He loves it, but it's he gets beat up pretty good doing
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Who is the greatest practical joker that you ever played with?
The greatest practical joker. I'll tell you, there were a couple of guys who were just jokesters, just the jokes and making everybody laugh. I would have to say one of them was, you guys remember Jimmy Spencer?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God, man, the guy, every day there were laughs. And then when I played for the Bills, it had to be Eric Moulds. That guy, I just knew, it was almost like I'd walk into the locker room, and before he even opened his mouth, you just start laughing because you knew something still.
And it's funny because, he just froze on us, but it's funny. Eric Moulds' personality in the field did not strike me as a guy who would cut up. He looked like he was all business, but that just shows you, that's what you miss about the locker room. That's when you get to see who people really are. And, oh, man, usually you freeze, Sean.
Yeah. I got a reprieve tonight, apparently.
It's who's ever the third person talking at this point of the show. That's who's going to freeze. I know he's had some trouble tonight, and I hope he comes back on in a second because I want to thank him for being on the show. It's I know, and I also wanted to one more time bring up his fundraiser for his film because and that's where I was going with that Terry Kath story. The little bit of money, you'll be surprised how much that helps. So please contribute to help get this film out. When he gets his film out, you'll get to see another part of his personality. So I'm hoping he said he was going to try and put the link on our page to go to it. Okay, you're back. Good.
Sorry, my phone died. Hold on one second.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Technical difficulties. Well, Quinn, we were worried you weren't going to be able to come back, so I wanted to give you one more chance. Tell everybody how they can contribute to your film. What's the website they can go to? Any dollar amount, of course, will help. But go ahead. Oh, great! Now the sound's out.
Just hang on a second. He's getting it. But as Alan said, Quinn told us prior to going on tonight that once the show is over, he intended on putting the information to everything about the film and how to be a part of what he's doing. He's going to put that on our Facebook page.
Oh, we need closed captioning. And I don't have the ability to control volume anymore here.
The search for our new platform begins tomorrow.
I'm telling you. Quinn, can you hear us? I know you can hear us. We still can't hear you. It's like way, way down. If you have a set of headphones, that'll help. Oh, wait, there's the. Okay. I heard something there a second.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm speaking into the speaker.
Great.
But
well, while we got you, let's do this real quick.
Yeah, so it's go to Kickstarter and just enter Just Bake Cookies, and it'll give you options to donate. I mean, $5, $10, $20, whatever you can do would be phenomenal. Again, it goes towards Alzheimer's. And you could also go to bryantacres.com, which is my website, and click the icon, the movie, and it'll take you to Just Bake Cookies, and then you can click on it. You can get the Kickstarter from there also. But again, Kickstarter, enter Just Bake Cookies, and donate. It's going for a great cause. And again, like you said, I'll also put it on the Facebook page.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Quinn. It's always a pleasure having you. And as I said before, I consider myself truly blessed to have met you, and I consider you to be a friend.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. You guys have a great night.
Thank you,
too,
Quinn.
brother.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye.
Good night. All right, Sean. Well, I had a backup plan in case Quinn had some problems tonight. I was going to start a 10 most important saints, and obviously it's, we're almost at the top of the hour, but something to think about for next week. The 10 most important saints going into this season. Going into this season on the roster right now. Who are the top 10 players that we have to rely on to have any kind of success? Yes, some of the names are blatantly obvious, but I'm curious to see how
the top 3 or 4 names are, as you said, going to be blatantly obvious. Mm-hmm. But the bottom end of that spectrum, at least my names, some of which will be really surprising, I think.
Yeah, so that's something to think about for next week because, like you said, when you go into that bottom, you start with 10. Who are the players that we have to count on or need to have great seasons for this Saints team to have a great season? That's important. I mean, that's kind of hard to come up with 10 names because the obvious ones. The guy we were talking about tonight, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees, Cam Jordan. Yeah, those are obvious. Where there's excuse me, where they're slotted, we're probably going to have different order except for number one. But it's the other ones. It's 10 through 6 maybe that'll probably be pretty different. So that's something to think about for next week.
Okay, and we will reveal in reverse order. We'll start at number 10 and go to number 1.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's time for me to go make the donuts. We want to thank, as always, the two dudes studio and here in Monroe. Thank everybody for joining us. Invite you to go subscribe to our show on iTunes and on YouTube. Huge thanks to Quinn for joining us, and I strongly urge you guys to be a part of just about any project that Quinn does, because without fail, it's always for a worthy cause.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you from the little amount of time that I've spent hanging with this guy and meeting this guy, he seems on here like he's the most humble and sincere guy in the world, and that's exactly what you get when you see him in person as well. So,
Absolutely.
And I guess that means that it's time to throw it to my partner in crime, Mr. Alan Ulrich. Good night, guys. Hey.
Well, hey, guys. Once again, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank Quinn for being on the show. I've been doing a little recap, Saints history recap via NFL Films. When was at the end of the Bum Phillips era? I kind of skimmed through the beginning, and I really wanted to focus on Hank Stram on up. We're about to hit Quinn's era. We're about to hit the Jim Mora years. It's a lot of fun reliving a lot of that stuff when Jim Mora was around and those Saints teams. But the Bum Phillips years are important because they kind of set the foundation for the Jim Mora teams that come along. And hopefully we get all the way. We got to go through the Ditka years a little bit, but hopefully I can get all the way at least until the Sean Payton years before training camp starts up. Just a little filler, but I put in one every day. So look for that. Give me some feedback. Tell me, hey, I hate this crap. I don't care about these old guys, or I love this. This is really interesting. I didn't know some of these stories because it's fun to tell these stories, like the story that Quinn told tonight about Eric Martin and Andre Waters. Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We hope to see you next week on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.